Nothing but a check Wayne.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is your favorite show with your favorite co-host and host. This is BoxN1 with yours truly, Ralph Wright, with one of my bestest friends of all time, Elise
Here.
Clyburn. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. We out here just still grinding.
Yes.
I'm excited. It's the first week. It's NBA season. Season tipped off, so I'm excited. How are you
Yes.
doing?
I'm doing great. It's first day of school meets New Year's Eve. New Year's. So, you know, I don't
It's
know.
all of it.
Like I told you off camera, it was like me telling. I walked into a place and I was telling everybody Happy New Year, and they started looking at me funny.
They just don't
Hey,
get it. Like
I
I told
understand.
someone, I told some of my friends, I'm like, yo, this is the best week ever. It's similar to the draft. There's only a couple holidays I actually do celebrate.
Yes,
This is one of my holidays.
yes. This is one of those. After a certain time, I'm locked in. Don't text me. Don't call me. I mean, you could text me. I
Facts.
might not respond in a timely manner,
Facts.
depending on what I'm watching, and what I'm looking at. So, this is that time of year. Not only that, like it's also the kickoff. Like, yes, it's the kickoff to the NBA, but it's also kickoff to college, kickoff to high school. So it's a lot of the present, but also the future of basketball. A lot of it's
For
kicking off
sure.
right now. So definitely
For sure.
exciting times. Fall ball's been going at least out here for a little bit. One of my young boys is dunking now, so as a sophomore in high school. So it's like, hey,
Listen,
hey,
listen, there's a kid out here in Orlando. He goes. I'm gonna say his name. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
yeah, go ahead.
He goes by the Puerto Rican Freak.
Mm,
So instead of Greek Freak, I want to say he's either in eighth or ninth grade,
mm,
reaching heights of already 6 feet, 6'1". He's a
mm,
long, skinny thing, but I officiate some of his games. I watch some of his games. The kid is starting to get up there and dunking as
mm,
well. At his height, at like eighth grade, he's around
yeah,
point, and dude is nice. I'm gonna get his name for you later, just to
mm,
keep an eye on because
yeah.
this kid, he might be it.
Well, that's the thing, and I hope if you're a coach out there, honestly, this class of 2022, 23, 24, and 25 in this Central Florida area is stacked
It's
and loaded
nice.
with talent up and down. And I said it's unfortunate because a lot of kids are going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. So if you're D2, D3, NAIA, come to Florida. There's so much talent that's going to be overlooked. A lot of these
It
D1
is.
schools don't even come here and look at these
Well,
guys. One of my guys, is going to Stanford. One of the guys I used to coach,
that's
uh,
tough.
he's going to
That's tough.
Stanford for both football and basketball.
Oh, that's
So
impressive.
so that's huge. Because he decommitted from the Gators, but he got a wonderful opportunity to he's
Because
going
he's
to
a smart
Stanford.
guy.
Yep. And matter of fact, he's gonna be on TV. He's gonna be on TV. Probably when this releases, he's already been on TV. But for football, because they have one of the top five kids in there.
Okay.
They're one of the top five kids in the 2023 class, and they're playing against Arch Manning. So, but that's on the basketball front, I've seen a lot of these kids in this class grow up, from sixth, seventh, eighth grade. So, they've had the talent. The talent was there, but you never know what's going to happen with their body,
I know
So,
that I know that this episode we're not talking about high school,
oh,
but
definitely not.
I even got to give a shout out to Emmanuel Hansel,
Oh, of
the kid
course.
with the one arm. I mean, he finally got his true first or second D1
Yeah,
offer,
he got
and
what?
I think it's a
Dan Cookman.
I want I want to say it's his second one from an HBCU.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
honestly,
this
the,
dude's balling out.
the talent is there, and I hope he goes to a school wherever he does commit, if he goes to school,
Mhm.
because I have a feeling like he might end up with the ball is life or overtime elite league. So, you never know how
Wouldn't
that's
be
gonna go.
surprised.
Because you
Wouldn't be
gotta
surprised
remember he came over within the last
for
year.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think this is now his second year in America, but he's in the Central Florida area.
yeah.
Like it goes back to what you said. There's some
There's
talent here.
and there's a couple of teams. There's a couple of teams to look out for. I know Dr. Phillips has a 6'10" kid. Their whole front court is 6'7" and up. They're starting front court. So
They stay big. That's all.
Montverde, naturally IMG, but we're not here.
Of
We're not
course.
here for
That can be
we're
that can
not
be a little bit later.
yeah, we'll do something else specifically for high school, and also we'll talk Florida basketball too at some point, because we've both been hands-on coaching, reffing, but as players
Training.
too. So I mean we're hands-on. But with that being said, it's the diamond year for the NBA. We already spoke about it being our most, like, we're super excited. I mean, and if you
Yep.
haven't noticed, like, we are super excited about this year, not just because we're fans of our teams. Like, my team, of course, is in contentions of the championship. Elise's team is in contention of the #1 pick. So from top to bottom, there's so much excitement for us both.
But facts.
Especially knowing that, this upcoming draft is potentially loaded. Not just certain names, right? But forget that. We're going to focus on the here and now. Let's talking about the diamond. The diamond is the 75th year anniversary. How fitting that our excitement comes in the diamond year, right? Pressure busts pipes or brings diamonds. And the NBA has released their top 75 players of all time. How do you feel about that list? I know there's a good mix of older players and newer players, especially within the last 25 years since this the 50s list was released. So talk to me. Tell me about some of your thoughts.
So some of my thoughts is one, the names that are in there. Mm-hmm. For the most part, I know a lot of the names, and if you guys can't tell with some of our conversation, Ralph is a true historian of this game. I know basketball. I think I know a lot of players, but after looking at the 75 list, I don't know some of these names. Mm-hmm. And then when I went to Google or went to YouTube, these were some older players. I'm talking one-hand dribbling type players. But then again, I had to sit back and think and realize these players started this league. Like, basketball wouldn't be basketball what it is today. It still would have been just a gym class game if it wasn't for these guys. And
paycheck.
There's literally, I'm gonna be honest, there's just one name that I truly feel should be on this list, and it's a player that I don't even too much like. You
gotta respect him. You gotta respect.
You have to respect him for what he did, his age. One of the last players to come out of high school. Mm-hmm. I mean, and what he did for my city, my favorite team. Mm-hmm. He needs to be on this list. What did you think?
I mean, looking at the list, there's some players today I'm like, yo, I'm not putting them on the list today. Mm-hmm. Maybe in 25 years, they could make that 100 list, but I don't see them today making that 75 list over some of the players that didn't. Like,
I'll be honest, the player that you're about to say, I don't even know if he's top 10 right now.
I mean,
top 15, top 20 for sure.
Yes.
But top 10, I don't even know.
So there's a few players that I'm like, wait a minute, they probably shouldn't be on this list right now. Like right now, because I looked at it and, my boy hit me up this morning talking about, man, Dame made it, but Clay didn't. And I said, all right, I'm more upset that Dwight Howard didn't make it and Dame did.
Correct.
And they were like, well, why? And he was like, why? I said, first off, let's be honest. Let's keep it a buck. Okay.
When you talk about dominance for a time period, is Dame really dominating right now?
Dame.
No, not when you have
Dame
LeBron.
has never been #1 at his position. Let's keep it a buck. He has never been #1 at his position since he's been in the league.
No.
You cannot say the same thing for Dwight Howard. You can't.
For a 5-year span.
Because it minimum 5 years, you can say, because you got to understand, he came in at the tail end of Shaq's career. And I think people overlook that and think like, oh, well, who was that next dominant big when Shaq
Duncan
left? But Duncan's a 4.
Duncan wasn't dominant, and Duncan's a 4.
And Duncan's a 4. So when you're looking at that center position, yes, Dwight Howard does not have skill. When you talk about he doesn't have the fundamental skills that some of the bigs before him did. But you have to understand the game was already transitioning out
to athletic.
So when you look at the 4-1 that Stan Van Gundy ran with Dwight Howard, that was basically the shell of an offense of what what was to come in the future.
Well,
Did they win a
and you're
championship?
correct.
No,
You're
they
so
didn't.
correct. You're so correct. How many offenses do we? How many? Now we look at today's NBA. Who's a true post player? Like when we look at Miami, what offense is Miami running? They have a hybrid big who isn't a traditional big and bam,
Mm-hmm.
and
But
they run a 4 out, 1 in, or a 5 out.
Well, you got to understand. So I look at it like this: when you think about the Spurs, so you look at the Spurs at that time when Duncan, just arrived, they were running horns before anybody else.
Correct.
The league had to adjust. Well, David Robinson retires now, but who do they bring in as their 4? They ended up bringing in like Robert Horry. Then they created the 3-and-D position with Bruce Bowen.
Correct.
And then you worked those pieces around, and then, but then you look at that Orlando team, and I say the only thing that Stan Van Gundy did wrong, and the reason why Orlando, and I'm thankful that they lost that series because the Lakers,
they brought back Jameer Nelson to start in the finals.
Like you had your guys going, your guys were on pace and feeling unstoppable sometimes. And this is, as a coach, you have to understand sometimes adjustments aren't the right things to do going into when you're in the playoffs. Certain adjustments can hurt you. Like you look at, and I know we're not here talking about coaches, we're actually talking about Dwight Howard, but this is what hurt. This is what kind of hurt them. Like when you look at Nate McMillan this past summer, like throughout the playoffs, when Cam Reddish was healthy, Cam Reddish didn't play right away. He eased Cam in to the flow of everything that they were doing, right? So once again, like I said, you can't tell me that Dame belongs there over Vince Carter. 20 years in the league, the greatest dunker of all time, right? In game and well, yeah, because that title is subject to be changed because the two other guys, 50 and Levine.
Yeah.
Because they challenged, they took it to a whole nother level, but this is a guy who brought back the dunk contest. If he doesn't bring back the dunk contest, him and T-Mac, if they don't bring back the dunk contest, we don't get that same experience with Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon. We don't get that. Correct. So when you talk top 75, like you have to listen. I love Russ, and this is what my boy said. He said, "Oh, well, Russ made it over Clay." I said, one of those players before they retired. I mean, looking at today, is Russ going to go down as one of the top 10 point guards of all time?
He has to.
Yes, and
he had 3 years where he averaged a triple double.
Four
in a row, and a possible 5, and a possible 5th in this season.
Yes, you never know what's going to happen. So I said, look, you can't. There's no way in the world that you can convince me that Russ doesn't belong on this list. Russ definitely belongs on this list. Could we make a play for Harden being there over Vince? Yes, we could talk about that. Could we make that conversation of Harden being over there over T-Mac? Yes, we can have that conversation. Mm-hmm. Right? Like there's certain conversations that we can have with some of these players, and I'm just looking at even Kawhi. I'm not going to sit here and say Kawhi deserves to be top 75. He hasn't put in the resume. Oh, well, he's won championships. Okay, so as Robert Horry, let's go put Robert Horry in his 7 championships in the not just the Hall of Fame, but in the top 75. So if
I'm glad that you said that, man.
If I'm gonna argue any of these players, like I'm just looking at this list right now as far as like current players. Anthony Davis is another one. I'm sorry,
3 of those, and you said the 3 I wanted to say, which was Dame, Kawhi, and AD. And out of those three, Dame and AD, I'm like, why are they on there? Especially AD, right? Like AD, they're still looking at his potential because he's still very young. He has been injury ridden, so who knows where his stats could have been. But what has he really done? Is he a dominant player in his league right now? Is he top 10 in this league right now?
That's a tough question. That's a tough question because
is he top 20?
When we talk his position, that changes the game too. Because now if you look 4, I think KD's been playing the 4, Giannis has been playing the 4.
LeBron's been playing some 4.
But they're on the same team. So now AD is the 4 on that team, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So we have to. So I'm saying this is like, is he like he's not a big? So we have to position him with power forward. Is he top 15 or top 10. So like think about it like this, right? There's 5 positions total.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to tell
Correct.
me Dwight Howard's not top 20 or top 15 big men of all time?
He's top 10.
The center position, it's tough. And I say the center position is tough simply because of those that came before him. You got, like we mentioned Nate Thurmond off camera, like we mentioned Wilt. I mean, we didn't mention Wilt, but you have the Wilt, you have the Kareem, you have Hakeem, you have David Robinson, you have Patrick Ewing. So you have, and these are just the late 70s, not even really digging in the 80s, and everybody's like, well, how come Bill Walton made the list? Because the time that Bill Walton was healthy, he was dominant. He was arguably probably one of the best players in the league. So
they didn't know what to do with him. They didn't know what to do with him. The league had no clue what to do with that redhead.
But his injuries derailed him, but it didn't derail the fact that he still had a Hall of Fame career. So but I'm not taking anybody off of the top 50 that was first there. I'm just looking at the new 25. I'm appreciative of Ray Allen. I'm not going to argue him being on that list. I'm not, but I will argue him being there over Vince Carter. Like I would be like, wait a minute, if Ray Allen made it, I'm assuming Vince Carter is going to make it too. I'm assuming T-Mac is going to make it, because if you talk dominance, at least for a 5-year period, who was more dominant, Ray Allen or T-Mac? And they both played the same position.
I think people forget T-Mac when he was in Orlando. Like, people automatically go to T-Mac in Houston when they think about his career.
His coming out party was in Orlando.
But people, like, when I even see on social media posts, T-Mac, Tracy McGrady, most of his highlights are him in Houston. Or they think about T-Mac lately, which was in the Spurs. Dude, go back to young T-Mac when he signed his deal with Orlando.
T-Mac was one of the first people to blow a 3-0 lead. People forget that.
I mean, at the time, right? Not too many NBA players had their own signature shoe. You still had pennies being sold. You still had Grant Hills being sold. You still had Scottie Pippins and, of course, Jordan.
Yeah.
Right?
Kobe. Oh, Adidas at the time was giving a lot of those young dudes their own shoes.
But his shoes, like, he got so many different varieties of shoes. Like, some players only got 1 or 2 years of signature shoes. I had every Tracy McGrady.
Shout out to my boy Chris. He's one of the biggest T-Mac fans that I know. That's my bro. But I agree with you. Like, T-Mac for the culture alone,
AD's not in the best power forward in the league right now.
No. So, but
he's number 3.
Let's go past 25 years.
I'm just looking at this season.
Let's just do past 10. He's not. My thing is this: like, his career was, to me, he had to put up numbers in New Orleans. Cool, but what did it account? Like, what did it count for really? He only really won when he had Rajon Rondo. He had Drew Holiday. It's crazy because both of those guys get traded from the Pels, or leave the Pels, and they win a championship the next year. So shout out to Zoe and the Pelicans. I mean, Zoe and the Bulls.
Oh yeah. But I'm looking at Basketball Reference. I'm looking at stats right now because, like I said, the 3.
I would put Karl Anthony Towns.
I'm not mad at that.
I'm
not mad at that.
Like, you could have put Joel Embiid and I wouldn't have probably said anything. You could have put Jokic in over him and I probably wouldn't have said anything. And as a Laker fan, it kind of hurts because it's like, yo, he doesn't deserve. Like, out of all the Lakers that made the list, Dwight Howard, like, Dwight Howard's just his first 9 seasons alone is on this list.
Let me see. Let me go to Basketball Reference. Keep on talking. I'm going to go to Basketball Reference and pull up AD, and we can talk about Anthony Davis's stats.
Because I would say this. Let's compare AD's first 8-9 years, because he's been in the league for 9 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's compare his 9 years and Dwight Howard's 9 years. Dwight Howard's resume came his first 9 years. Dwight Howard didn't get Defensive Player of the Year. He didn't get rebounding. He didn't get blocks, and he didn't get any real accolades since he got traded to the Lakers.
Okay, so Anthony Davis, Anthony Davis is an 8-time All-Star. Cool.
Yep.
That's awesome. He was a 1-time champion. Cool. 4-time All-NBA. Awesome. 4-time All-Defense. Okay. He was MVP. AS
Also,
MVP.
All-Star MVP.
He was
All-Star
All-Star
game.
MVP 16, 17, and he was All-Rookie team. All right.
Okay.
Let's go to Dwight Howard.
Yep.
Dwight Howard. All right. Let's make this bigger. Dwight Howard, 8-time All-Star. Same. TRB, total rebound champ, 5 times. Total block champ twice. NBA champion, 8-time All NBA. So not 4-time, 8-time All NBA, 5-time All Defensive Team, All NBA. He was rookie, and he was a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Which is why I say, I mean, I'm not mad. You know, as a Laker, I'm like, yo, it's good. We got 4, but it's like, yo, you put the wrong big on the list right now.
It's like you said, it's not the All-Stars.
No.
It's the All NBA. That means for 8 seasons, arguably 9 seasons, he was the best. He was a top 3 center in the NBA for 8 years, arguably 9 years in a row. Because I believe those were in a row.
Yes. And he brought a team with no superstar, no other star to the championship.
No, not at all. Or he might have had a all international player on his team if there's an all international list, and Hito Turco.
That doesn't
he's
count.
In there somewhere.
But that
doesn't count.
But that doesn't count because at the end of the day, they played the 3-headed monsters in the Celtics and beat them.
Yes. And if it wasn't for a coaching decision,
he
should have 2 championships.
Oh, yeah, they did beat them. Yeah, definitely. As a Laker fan, I'm just glad that Stan made the bundle. Like, he decided to put Jameer in.
He fumbled the bag, man. He fumbled the bag.
I'm okay with that. But other than that, but then the same thing with Dikembe Mutombo. Like, you can't tell me AD is better than Dikembe Mutombo. Dikembe Mutombo was, at the time, I think he was the first player to get multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards.
Are you ready for his? His is even more impressive. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
He's already a Hall of Famer.
He's already there.
He 8-time All-Star, 2-time total rebound champ, 3-time total block champ, 3-time All NBA, 6-time All Defensive. He was a rookie and 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. I don't know where.
And it reminds you, you know who got Rookie of the Year in his class? You know who got Rookie of the Year in his class, right?
Who?
Larry Johnson. Grandmama.
I'm not mad at that. At the time, I'm not mad at that because Larry Johnson at the time was the man. But like
injuries. That's another dude. Like it's the injuries. If he didn't have those back injuries, that took away his athleticism. I mean, he has skills, right? But this is a dude, like, you have to understand, like, Dikembe Mutombo could probably argue that he's a better, center career-wise than Dwight.
Let's go to Dame's list. 6-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA, All-Rookie, Rookie of the Year. Excuse me?
He's a point guard, right? Where's his assist?
Point guard, shooting guard. Whatever one you want to say.
All right, cool. So you're going to put him at shooting guard? Who's he better than? Who's he better than at shooting?
This is what I'm going to say. I would put Clay in front of him.
Here's my thing. Clay don't belong on the list. Dame don't belong on the list.
He doesn't.
Not over T-Mac, not over Vince Carter. Like, I'll accept Kawhi because of the 2 championships, but what did he really do? Like, we have to be honest with ourselves, and what has he really accomplished? What has he accomplished as a player to say, you know what, you're one of the 75 greatest players of all time while you're still playing?
Kawhi's list, I can see why they put him in. 5-time All-Star, 2-time NBA champ, 5-time All NBA, which is also 7-time All Defensive Player, and it was the final MVP. Like, that's hard. Not too many teams win a championship. That means there's even fewer players who win the MVP. So I get it. With Kawhi, I can see it. Like, I think you said as well. Like, I get it, but like, should it be on that list? Maybe not.
Do me a
but
solid.
I get it.
Do me a solid. Go to Vince Carter, and then go to T-Mac. I want to see them. I want to see their resume because I'm almost positive Vince was at least a 6 or 7-time All NBA.
8-time All NBA.
Thank you. How many All-Stars?
He was only 2-time. Sorry. Let's rewind. He was a 2-time All-NBA, 8 All-Stars. So,
Okay.
but we have to look at when he played. Kobe Bryant was still there. Like, you have to look at when he played. And
Kobe, T-Mac, a lot of those guys cannibalized themselves, basically, because you also had Gilbert Arenas out there. Like, and low-key, I'd put Gilbert Arenas over Dame. Just being honest. I would.
I'm all right with that.
If we're gonna do that, I'm putting Gil over him, over Dame. Because
see, now Tracy McGrady's different. He's already a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So if I look at Tracy McGrady's list, 7-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ, 7-time All-NBA, and 1 Most Improved. And he would have won Rookie of the Year if Toronto did. Not Rookie of the Year. He would have been an All-Rookie team if Toronto did what they were supposed to do.
They ain't playing him.
They wasn't
going to play him. They wasn't going to play him. They knew they wasn't going to play him.
But guess what? If we look back at it,
mm-hmm.
he might have done something. But it's a 7 All-NBAs. It's the Hall of Famer. It's a 2-time scoring champ. Like, let's go, guys.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, like, and it's no offense to the guys that did make it, like, we're questioning, but it's just like, yo, I see you on the next 25. You know? And speaking of the next 25, who do you think in this day and age has a good shot of being on the next 25, knowing that we're 25 years away and we live in a what have you done for me lately type of media, type of all of that. And 25 years.
Okay, in 25 years, Klay's gonna be on it. Just with his historical numbers and just, so,
how many players from today do you think is gonna be the next 25?
Well, I'm gonna name 3 of them.
Okay.
3 of them. I think Klay Thompson's going to be on it just because of what he can do, what he has done, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think arguably you could probably argue Draymond.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can argue that. The other person, you can probably put 2 more in there because they really pushing Luka really hard and he's really good. But Trae Young. Height. They like it's almost that Iverson effect where I see this little dude on the court and this is what he's doing. It makes no sense.
You never thought that we see another Steph Curry before we see another Iverson?
No, and somehow we have a hybrid because now when I watch his game, he's actually attacking the rim.
He's a passer.
He's passing, but he's actually attacking the rim a little bit more.
Yes.
Like the fear is gone.
He never had fear. That's the thing. He goes, and that's what I told you. And I don't want to get stuck on Trae right now because we're focusing on 75. So we'll save that. We'll pocket that conversation for another day. But
got it.
If I had to say a couple of guys that I think would make that next 25 list, that's the trajectory. I'm looking at Ja, Trae, Luka. I don't think another Golden State Warrior is going to make the top 100. Unfortunately, not these guys. Not Klay, not Draymond, because you have to. Kyrie's gonna screw himself before he even gets there. Unfortunately, like he screwed himself now. Like, to be honest, like I would put Kyrie over Dame before. I'm
gonna pull up Kyrie stuff while you're talking. Okay.
But Kyrie. My thing is with Kyrie's injuries, the same thing with Anthony Davis.
Dude, his resume is so much better than Dame's. But
once again, it's a media. When it's the media doing the voting, a lot of times they're subjective. So top 25, not top 25, but the guys that I feel is going to be in the next one.
So we had Trae,
definitely Trae, Luka, Ja, and Joel Embiid is most likely going to end up on there. Yeah, and Jokic, depending on what he does these next 3 to 5 years. If Jokic can continue playing where he's at right now, you cannot tell me that he doesn't make it. And then they better find a way to put Dwight Howard on that list.
Also next 25, maybe Dame does make that list. Maybe he does.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like he would have made the next list. Because if we look, that gives him time to finish out his career. That gives him time to add more to his resume. Who knows what could happen, right? The thing is with Dame cannot leave Portland. If Dame leaves Portland, his career would be
he
done.
Stays at Portland his whole career. It's Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller is one of those people who
stays up.
Great career, but because he stayed, it looks so much better.
And
because
that's probably
now you defeat all of the team's records.
And that's probably what hurt T-Mac That's probably what hurt Vince Carter.
because they
That's
hopped and
probably what hurt
bounced.
these guys. That's probably what
Even
hurt
Dwight.
Dwight Howard, because if Dwight Howard stayed in Orlando, he owns
We
all those
talked about
records.
this. We talked about this so
He
long
owns
ago.
all those records.
He's still owning the records, right?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Vucevic to be in Orlando for as long as he did, a lot of those records are Dwight's records.
And maybe that's what, like, and Paul Pierce is another one. My bad. I forgot that sucker made it. Paul Pierce too. He's another one that he stayed in Boston to the very, very end, and then he hopped around, but it doesn't matter. He won a championship in Boston. He's another one that I'm like, yo, over Vince, they are in the same class. Nah. Yeah. I'm not putting Paul Pierce and Nowitzki wasn't the head of that class. It was Nowitzki and Vince that was the head of that class. Like, so, they're in the same draft class.
Do you remember some of Dame's lists that I said?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Kyrie, 7-time All-Star, which is more than Dame. NBA champ, 3-time All-NBA, All-Rookie, All-Star Game MVP, Rookie of the Year. And who's to say if it wasn't for Kawhi during that championship run, they might have not won a championship. They might not have won. The shots that this man hit, outstanding. I think what hurt him, the All-NBA, and then, like you said, the off-the-court stuff that's been going on because of narrative.
Yeah, but my thing is, these people that do the votes have to be able to do it without their feelings. Like, they have to take their feelings out of it. So let's wrap this up real quick. Let's wrap it up real quick. Listen, thank you guys for your time. You know how to follow us. Like, share, subscribe, but do more so as subscribe, like, and then share. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We'll be back again with some more in-depth. If you agree or disagree, let us know. Put us down in the comments. Let us know who you really felt should be on that 75 list, who you felt shouldn't be on that list. Do you even care? Matter of fact, tell us who you think 5 out of the next 5 guys from this generation right now is going to be in that 25 list. All right.
Please do.
You got any last words?
Nah, man. I think the disrespect for Magic players needs to end. Because 3 of those guys should be on that list were former Magic players. Needs to end. Show us some respect.
Yeah, they all went up, man. That's probably why they didn't make it. Hey, so until next time, y'all continue to be great.
Ciao.